because there's a huge difference between like dumping content at somebody and then helping them work through it. And really, that's what learning is. You don't learn, like, nobody can open your head and like pour stuff in and you learned it, right? You have to engage with it and you have to apply it.
Today, we talk with Catrina Mitchum, founder of Catrina Mitchum Learning Design. She has 16 years experience designing and delivering online courses and training inside Ironhead. She creates change through course creation support for overwhelmed founders and recovering perfectionists. She provides that combination of a swift kick and a helping hand to simplify the process, eliminate the overwhelm, and focus on learner success through accessibility and transparency. Welcome to the webinar, Making It Easy by Making It Focus, Getting Started with Course Creation.
To me, the difference between a webinar and a workshop is that in the webinar, I'm going to tell you how to do it and perhaps show you how to do it. And in the workshop, I'm going to make you do it with me, right? So you have something concrete you're walking away with. So all that said, if you have a question with something that I'm telling you about, feel free to ask in the chat or even unmute. You can ask questions as we go. It's just I'm not going to be like asking you to do the things that I'm suggesting that you do. Okay, so I do actually have a set of slides, and it's mostly because I'm going to share them in two ways. One, I'm giving you a link in the chat, and yeah, got it. Thanks. Zoom. And two, I'm going to share screen. And I'm doing this because different people understand information better in different ways, right? And so this is my way of giving you both the talk and the visual that goes with the talk. Hi, I am Catrina Mitchum, and I am the founder of Catrina Mitchum Learning Design. And this webinar is called Making It Easy by Making It Focused, so we can get started with course creation. And not too many screens. Okay, so we are going to cover why focusing matters, some steps for actually narrowing it down, setting goals, getting feedback, and getting organized, because all of those things should be the starting point for doing something like tackling course creation, because if you don't do those things, it can become overwhelming, and you don't have a direction, which can make it more difficult. Okay, so focusing matters for a few reasons. One, it's going to help you keep things aligned. So when you figure out what your focus is at the beginning and set your goals at the beginning, you always have a place to go back to make sure that the content that you're giving and the tasks that you're asking them to do are in alignment with whatever the heck they signed up for, right? So if the focus is on, beginner calligraphy, but you jump in and you are doing like advanced techniques, then you're going to have a problem, right? So focusing helps with making sure those things are in alignment, because it gives you a place to gut check, which that covers 1 and 3, because the 3 was giving you a grounding point. Two, it helps you and your learners stay on track. So I don't know about you, but I've had times where I have like a million ideas for for what should be in a course. And if I didn't take the time to do that focus work at the beginning, then it would not be a course. It would become a certificate, right? Like I could have a 3-year certificate in how to, like, they have entire degrees in instructional design, and I could, jump down that rabbit hole. And so having, a focus and set goals at the beginning can help you stay on track as you're building, and also can help your learners stay on track as they're going through your course. And then finally, it keeps you from getting overwhelmed with, well, the course should be doing XYZ. Well, it shouldn't be doing XYZ if at the beginning you said it was going to do ABC, right? And so that can help you feel, or help prevent you from feeling like there's more that you need to do, because there's always so always going to feel like there's more that you need to do. So our first step is narrowing it down. And so the tool that I like to use for narrowing things down is using the five whys. Has anybody heard of the five whys before? Yeah, I'm getting some yeses and some nos. Okay, so basically this is the five whys are just asking why 5 times based on your previous answer. And so what I have here on the screen is the starter sentence, right? And so you could take this and fill in, whatever the course topic you think you're doing or whatever topic you think you're doing your course on. So I have an example, an extended example that we'll work on here. So at the end of this course, my clients will be able to, and you're going to fill in the blank. For this, we're going to say understand and use digital marketing. I've been seeing a lot of digital marketing courses in my in my feed, and so that's just where my brain went. Okay, so our first is why is understanding digital marketing important? There are a lot of different ways that you can answer this. And this is why the five whys, I think, work so well because everybody's going to approach something like digital marketing differently. And they're going to have different reasons for teaching it and different outcomes that they see for their learners. And so you can just pick one, the one that's important to you, and you could make 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 different courses from it, all depending on how you answer the why question. So the answer that I picked was just because it allows businesses to reach a wider audience online. So I'm going to put in a disclaimer. I am not a digital marketer. I learned from others about digital marketing. And so I thought that's why this was a good example because I can give more basic answers. Okay, so my answer was because it allows businesses to reach a wider audience online. So I take that and I pull it into the second why question. Why do businesses want to reach a wider audience online? So some of these might feel like, well, duh, they want to make more money or they want to increase their brand awareness and customer base, but different people are going to answer this question differently. And that's how you start to get at making a course that one pulls on your specific expertise and two is a little bit different than the thing that everybody else is offering about this same topic. Okay, so my answer was to increase their brand awareness and customer base. And so I pulled that into my why 3. Why is increasing brand awareness and customer base important? Because lots of reasons actually, but the one that I picked was because it leads to higher engagement and potentially more sales. Okay, so why do higher engagement and more sales matter? That's my fourth why. They matter for business growth and sustainability in the market, because nobody's running a charity over here, right? And so taking that last one and asking the fifth why is sustainability in the market important? And the answer that I picked was because long-term sustainability ensures ongoing success and profitability. Oh, I see the chat. Okay, Dominique was just was just letting Shannon know you could ask questions. Okay. Long-term sustainability ensures ongoing success and profitability. Okay, so the result, my narrowed down topic then is at the end of this course, my client will be able to develop a targeted digital marketing strategy that enhances brand awareness and drives sales for sustainable growth. So I took all of my answers to those five whys and I pulled them into the focus of my course because that is helping. So the five whys are intended to help you get to the root of a problem, right? And as you're asking the five whys about your course topic, you are narrowing down into what you see as the root of the problem and why folks need your particular flavor of this particular course topic. And so we can see the change, at the end of this course, my clients will be able to understand and use digital marketing. That feels very broad and vague. But then we move into, the very specific things they'll be able to do and why they're doing that. So having that focus can actually help us with the next step, which is setting goals. Before I move on to that one, are there any questions about the 5 whys or how I got from those answers to this narrowed down focus? I'm going to take that as a no. Okay. So the next step is using that focus to set goals for your learners. I am sure that most people in here have heard of SMART goals. Yeah? No? Maybe? Yeah. Okay. So SMART goals are very business oriented, right? Um, in education, we call these course objectives, and they should describe what they'll be able to do when they're done. So people typically set SMART goals for themselves, but the SMART goals are a really good way to make sure that there are achievable things for your learners. So you're going to set SMART goals for your learner. So I'm going to give an example from the digital marketing class. And I am just going to go through one. But typically, your course would need to have as many goals as you feel your learner needs to get to that focus, right? So to get from point A to point B, it should have that many goals. So this is just one potential goal of a course on digital marketing that is intended to, what is intended to do? Develop strategies that enhance awareness and drive sales. Okay, so improve email marketing campaign open rate by 15%. That's our specific. Our measurable is getting a starting point and monitoring open rate through email marketing software, right? That's something we can see, feel. I guess we could hear it. I don't know that we could touch it. Achievable is optimizing the email subject lines and content. Very, very concrete things that we can assign and that they can do and that we could give feedback on. Relevant. High open rates can lead to increased customer engagement. And so this is pointing out sort of the why this is a goal that we're setting for this particular course. Now, at this moment, that might not seem relevant, but when you get into actually building your course out, if you aren't transparent about why you're asking them to view or read or listen to certain content and why you're asking them to do certain tasks, you're going to lose them, right? And so the relevant part of these goals is going to help you have learner retention, right? They're going to finish your course. They'll be more likely to finish your course if you can explain to them why the heck you're having them do this thing, because they don't know, right? You are the expert in this topic, and it's not always clear when you're a learner how all of those pieces are connected. You have to bring them along for the ride. Yeah, exactly. 6 out of 10 people don't finish courses. And that's courses like in the course creation industry. And it's exactly, well, it's not exactly because of a lack of transparency in why you're doing things, but it is one of the big contributing factors, not understanding or not being told. Like, so I'm asking you to do this because it's going to help you here. And so that's why I'm telling you this, that the relevant piece is important because it's going to help you down the road when you're figuring out all of the pieces that you're going to include. Okay, timely. Accomplish this improvement within 6 months. I picked 6 months out of the air because I'm not a digital marketer. I don't know what's realistic, but ideally you would know what's realistic in terms of, accomplishing these things if you are brand new to it. Okay, so I would take all of those pieces of the SMART goal that I just walked through, and I would say the goal is to increase the email marketing campaign's open rate by 15% within 6 months by optimizing subject lines and content and tracking progress through email marketing software to enhance customer engagement. And so this is something where I took my, my process work getting through all of those SMART goals and put it into something concrete and succinct. I would probably wordsmith this a little bit. I think it's a little bit jargon heavy, but I made these yesterday, and so that's what you get. But you would make it so that it's understandable um, to your learner, right? These are goals that you're going to give them so they can understand what your goals are, but also things that you come back to. And Dominique has the question. Oh, okay. So the question was, is it for the course creator or to disclose to the learner? Both. So you can start here, like you can start with the language that you know about describing the goal and then make it so that the learner can understand. Ideally, you would just have one set so you don't have to do the translation back and forth all the time. But that's like a personal preference, right? And whether or not you should translate it so they understand, but whether or not you have two flavors or two versions, different people like to work in different ways. Okay, so at this point, you've got a focus and you've got a list of goals. So the next step is getting feedback on those things. And so this is actually testing your viability before you even start building anything. Because if the goals that you set are not goals that your potential client is interested in, then why do it? Right? Like, why make that one of the goals? And if it has to be one of the goals and they just don't know any better because they're not an expert, then that helps you. This feedback piece helps you get information that can actually help you sell the course. Because that goal isn't going to be something that's going to be of interest to them. But a feedback process will help you get information about what are they interested in? Where are the things that I can lean on when I'm trying to describe this thing? If they don't care about email open rates, then I'm not going to talk about email open rates, right, in my marketing and on my sales page. There's going to be a different way that I'm going to want to talk about it. And you don't know until you actually talk to people. And so that's why it's important to have the focus, have the goals, so you have something that you feel is going to be useful to someone, and then you go ask about it before you invest a whole lot of time and energy. Okay. So finding alignment by asking real life people. So who are you going to ask? You are going to ask former clients, current clients, your social media audience, your email list. I have somebody I'm working with right now who is asking friends and family who had experienced something similar, and could potentially benefit from the course that they're trying to put together or the program they're trying to put together. And so if you have, let's say it's baking sourdough bread, whatever, I don't know. And like your sister or your cousin's best friend uh, has always wanted to do that, then that's an okay person to ask. You don't have to not ask people you have relationships with. You just want to make sure that they could be a potential audience, even if they wouldn't ever buy from you. Right? Because cousin's best friend would totally expect it for free. And then how? So this depends on you. It depends on the topic. If you are more introverted and like the thought of talking to people in real time, all the time, every day for a little while, make your eye twitch, then a survey is probably going to be better. A survey also gets you more responses. It's just you don't have the opportunity to follow up, right? And so there are benefits and drawbacks to each one of these ways that you could do it. You could do a series of polls, but you're going to want to ask about so many things that you might not get a full picture of a single person and how they would take the course. Interviews, you could do these in 15 minutes, but those will give you the opportunity to ask those follow-up questions if you have them as you're going through. And sometimes the more follow-up questions, the better. So that's an option too. But really, surveys will work just as well. And then the last one I have here is focus groups, and that's the one that really depends on the topic because some people do not want to talk about about certain subjects in a group, right? If this is, more of a skill-based course, then focus groups, which are basically just group interviews, um, are okay, but I would just, make sure that you're sensitive to that. And then the what. So how exactly are you going to do this? You're going to use your narrow topic and your goals to form your questions, right? And so you should go into the interview, the focus groups, develop the survey based on, you can use the same set of questions and you could even do all three if you really wanted to. So I have an example here of using that narrow topic that we've got for digital marketing strategies. So the topic was, at the end of this course, my clients will be able to develop targeted digital marketing strategies that enhance brand awareness and drive sales for sustainable business growth. So this might become a question by asking, do you feel that you need help with creating a digital strategy for your marketing in order to get your brand out there and make more sales? And so again, this was a translation, right? I swapped out a lot of different words to make it simpler, and I made it a yes or no question. I might even put like other because I like to get those qualitative answers. But also get, people are more likely to fill out yes, no questions. But the written responses are often a lot better. So I would probably put yes, no, other, and like leave a space for them to like expand on that because some people would expand on that. And then so you would do the same thing with, the SMART goals. You might say, if you were to take a course on creating a digital strategy for marketing, would any of the following be a goal for you? And you could list your goals, right, that you've created out of the SMART goal process and leave them as open checkboxes, right? And so they can check all that apply, and then give them space and time to expand on that, right? Like ask that follow-up question, assuming that they at least check something in that list. Yeah. And then finally, getting organized. So at this point, you have your narrow topic, you have your list of SMART goals, you have a plan for going and getting feedback from real people about what your idea is. Next, you would want to get organized. And so in instructional design, there's a process called backwards design. And so I'm a proponent of backwards design, and I think it'll probably resonate here. It's like always working toward the goal, right? Using the goal to determine your steps. And so you can use that same process. You should, I would argue, you should. And I don't say should a lot. Use that same process when you're building your course. That should always be the place you go back to. And so I have, I'm not going to walk you through that because that's like a whole, at least an hour. And we were trying to keep this short and leave time for questions. But I have a course creation starter pack that you can, so I will share the link to the slides again because it does have some links in here. And this looks like this. I will walk you through your starter pack if it would load. Okay. And so this is about planning and outlining. So how you plan and outline depends on personal preference again. I like to use a whiteboard, a giant whiteboard. So like in this sample, this is a course that I outlined in Miro. Miro, if you haven't heard of it. I like it because it's just so like I can like spread out and then like pull myself back in, and because I'm a mess. Um, but you can see, I think you can see, is this big enough? Want me to zoom in?
Yeah, I think if you zoom in, I'm going to share it also with the replay, but if you zoom in a little bit.
Okay. So you can see I've got the module up here and I've got the steps that I have figured out here. And then I narrow down to content and tasks. And so you could create, you could make it like a mind map, make it a wireframe structure for your course where you're pulling in all of the steps to get to those goals. Or you can make it a list, right? It doesn't matter. The thing that's important when you're taking your narrow focus and your goals for your learners in the course is breaking it down, right? So we want to break down the major steps for each and every goal that you've created and then chunk them, right? So here I had the example of written content, planning and written content sites. That's the major step, going over that information. And then determining the course structure and planning is a chunk, types of courses. So this is how that step breaks down into smaller pieces. And you want to break it down into smaller and smaller pieces until it's manageable, right? Within the time frame. And this is how you do a couple of things. You get yourself organized, start to create a plan for your course, and also get an idea of the time frame, right? So if you say, let's going back to the email marketing example, if you say, one of the tasks or one step, right, for this goal is to watch the video, take some notes, and then write a subject line. You don't need 2 weeks for that, right? You probably just need 1 week for that, or however it fits into the structure of your course. Oh, crap. Suzanne, crap is an acronym for visual design. I always forget what it stands for. But it is, things on the page. So consistency, uh, I can't remember the A. Contrast. Yes, thank you. Contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Yeah, I always forget because there's another craft that has two P's that is about analysis, and I mix them all the time. And consistency is the C in that craft. Uh, okay, so yes, exactly, exactly, Dominique. Dominique said in the chat that it helps to consistently deliver effective design. Um, does that make sense? Like the breaking down of the goals into these steps and these chunks and starting to do that work. Yeah. Okay. And then so I leave space for you to do that too. And then the last piece of this is defining content delivery. And so this isn't the last piece of building a course, but this is sort of the next step after you've chunked things out, is deciding, what your content should be. And so this is just a table that asks you about the topic of your content, the purpose that your content serves in the course. Does it need to be told and shown? That means, do you need to say it and also show it? So, for example, this, yes, I need to both walk you through it verbally and also give you the visual so you know what I'm talking about. There are certain things that could just be a visual, right? If you have a decision tree or an infographic to explain it, or maybe it doesn't need a visual and it can just be an audio. You can deliver the content through just audio. And so those last, 3, 4, and 5 are getting at those. Like, does it need to be told and shown? Then it should be a video. Does it need to be explained verbally but doesn't need a visual? Then it should be audio. Can images and text explain it? Then it could just be an image. It could be an infographic. It could be a web page. It could be, a book. Whatever floats your boat. Um, and yeah, so that is within the tool for taking those things and doing something with it next. And then I have a blog, my blog linked here. In that I answer questions like that I've gotten about learning design. And so it's everything from accessibility to transparency to, what makes a good course, what doesn't make a good course. I'm very anti video vault. Um, yeah. And then, okay, so this was a talk at you version of a workshop that I'm running because I mean, we're already at 10:33. I'm running a workshop at the end of the month, and it is called Course Creation Clarity. Let's get our shit together. And it's going to be very similar to this, but we'll have support. And so, like, when we do the five whys, I'm going to ask you to write your five whys, and we're going to workshop them together. Like, you'll get feedback on them in real time during the workshop. Same with it, literally the whole structure and the content will be almost exactly like this. It'll just be you'll get time and space to work on it with people. And then I have a course, or I have a program coming up in June if you feel like you need support. And that's really, I think, I'm gonna stop sharing screen so I can actually see you all. There we go. So that really, the support is really the piece that determines things like how much you can charge, how long it should be. I think whether or not you should even call it a course, right? I feel like if you're just building a collection of content or curating content, I don't think that should be called a course. I think I think that should be called an audiobook or an ebook or a video book. I'm really liking the phrase video book, and I'm just going to keep putting it out there and hope people adapt it because there's a huge difference between like dumping content at somebody and then helping them work through it. And really, that's what learning is. You don't learn, like, nobody can open your head and like pour stuff in and you learned it, right? You have to engage with it and you have to apply it. Um, and so support bit, there's a blog post about support actually that just went out 2 weeks ago. um, yeah, questions. Are there other questions or concerns or?
I actually have a question, Katrina.
Sure.
So most of our audience
Hmm.
that is on this call right now, work a lot with things that are not tangible, right? They
Uh-huh.
work with
Yep.
the science of the ethers.
Yeah.
And so when they're doing their SMART goal to see if, not to see if, but to make sure the course or the video or whatever is going to be good for their learners, they can be specific on what the goal is, but there's not really like measure.
Mm.
How would they go about that?
Yeah. So I would say measure is still something that you can make tangible in what you're asking them to do. And I feel like so I call them skills and transformations. It sounds like a lot of what you're doing, the courses you would develop in your group are transformation types of courses. And in transformations, giving options for how to complete that thing. And so you might not be able to measure this, whether or not I found internal happiness, right? But you can measure whether or not I've gone through and written for 20 minutes on XYZ, or whatever is going to help you reach the specific goal. You can make the measurable piece about the action that will help you get to that goal. So it could be like having a list, or it could be doing the journaling, or it could be meditation, or whatever it happens to be. It you can I mean, we're using SMART goals in a way that weren't intended, right? We're making goals for other people and we're making them about things that are squishy. And so the concrete part comes in with the act that they're doing in order to get to that specific thing. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay.
And like in what I teach people to bring the 6D and make it work in the 3D because your clients
Mm.
are in the 3D. Your clients are humans. You're not, apart from Levi, you guys are not working with extraterrestrial people yet. We're all going to be there eventually if that's what you believe in. But for the moment, we're all working amongst humans. So bringing in the humanness into how you're creating your courses and how you're delivering will also increase your chances. And for those that don't like to work on a computer, you can do I call it the sticky note thing. Is I always have Windows, right? And then I just stick the notes the same way that Katrina had her graph with my goals and everything, and I just put the sticky notes. First, I put all my ideas all over the place, and then I put them into the same way that she had it, because I'm not really good with the computer, but it comes out to the same thing. So that would be another trick to apply. There you go.
You could even do it in a notebook. I've got like 4 of these. Each one has a different topic. Or I have like this is all of these strips are metal, and so these are magnetic. And so right now it's just decorated mostly with things that I like and things that my kids made. But you could do the same way. Or whiteboards. A lot of people like whiteboards for doing that kind of work too. Really, it's just 3x5 index cards if you're of an age where that's how you did research projects in school. Anything that lets you move pieces around and break things apart. Because that's part of the process in figuring out what needs to go into it. So yeah, it definitely doesn't have to be on the computer. And you can build a course that's not on the computer, but that's a whole other long conversation about how you do that and get success for your learners.
That's awesome. Anybody else has questions? Because I have 1,000, but I'm not going to take your spotlight. For those who are creating courses or are thinking about it.
I want to just give you a little feedback that the 5 whys was very helpful in terms
Good.
of just keeping and boiling it down to like, what is the end goal? What do I want somebody to do a takeaway from? And then what is it? Why does that matter? Why is that important? That was helpful, very helpful to do.
Good. Good. I'm glad. It works in so many different places. Not just course creation.
Well, so the 7 layers, when you said, I don't know the 5 whys, but the 7 layers is kind of the same, right? When you're identifying your why, say why, and then why that why, and then why that why. So yeah, it's really interesting for those of you who are therapists or coaches on this call. You always want to get to the root of the issue to really fix. So going deeper and deeper in the why is really good. And Shannon, that's going to help you to get those blocks that you want to build your course on also.
What is that software program that you used with all the little cute shapes on it?
It is called Miro, and I will drop a link to it in the chat. So they have a really robust free version, and so you can get up to 3 projects for free. And so I don't tell them, but I just keep using different email addresses to or I mean the whiteboards really are so big if I have courses that are connected. So like my program is actually a pick your path where there's a core learning design course, and then I've got a bunch of smaller content creation courses that you can pick and choose as you need them. And so I have all of those sort of in the same space on my Miro board because they connect to each other too. And I'm going to share the slides again. Oh, and I have somebody momming me. Hold on 1 second.
I don't think I've ever heard that before. Somebody's momming me.
Yes, literally just running through the house yelling mom. So at least I had warning.
Right. I haven't used that in a verb, I guess. That was interesting. I have another question for you too, I guess, as I'm percolating, is that I am interested in actually getting into doing some digital marketing, both to sell standalone products and things and endorse also do some endorsing, as well as developing a couple different tier course. And I'm at a kind of a loss as to what to do first, or how to format that. And what I get from you is almost in the same way you would figure out, well, what's your end goal and what's your course, and here are all the pieces to it, that maybe what I need to do is go higher in terms of looking down and what is it that I ultimately would like completely, and then how does that break down, and what feels like the best thing to tackle first.
Yeah. So I'm, full disclosure, I withdrew from my marketing class in college. So everything that I've been learning about marketing has been following folks that are doing it in ways that are not burning out and ways that are aligned with their values, right? Like I like to push against gurus and things like that. So in working through my own digital marketing plan, one of the first things that I did was set the goals for that plan, but also draw boundaries, because for me that was really important in terms of not doing too much, because you can drown in the world of of digital marketing. So yeah, I think you could. I think you're. Go ahead.
In terms of setting boundaries, do you mean in terms of time limits? Like, I'm going to allow this much time a week? What do you mean by boundaries?
I'm going to allow this much time a week. I'm going to post things this many times a week, and then figuring out a process for generating content, because I do organic marketing, generating content that can be multi-purpose and used across various different ways. So for example, I get questions. That's usually how I generate content, because I like to do my marketing. Yeah, exactly. Repurposing. Thanks for finding the word, Dominique. I like to be responsive to what people want to know. And so I record myself. This week, I just started doing the recording myself on YouTube for a video that I put on YouTube. I pull the transcript from that, create a blog. From that blog, I break it into different pieces that then go into LinkedIn and Instagram are the two places where I post social media. And so it's a whole flow of content that came from one question. And so making it easy, but that's also figuring out a process that works for you. Because, and it took me a little while, right? It took me probably like 3 months to land on that exact process, so that I was repurposing, saving time, but not getting bored with my own stuff, right? That was another thing that was important to me. And so I think your question was whether or not this sort of strategy can be built a little higher for thinking about all of your products and services. And I would say yes. Right? If you get down to the root of, why are you doing this, and what you're trying to accomplish by doing it, then those things can drive all of the other pieces, including how you're marketing your different things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if I use like a channeler, Levi, Shannon, Anna, if you watch the replay, so you guys, if you channel something, you put it on YouTube. In that channeling, there will come some questions from somewhere, from someone. You don't have to say who it's from or where it's from, but there will be questions in your channeling. You use those questions to create the blog. You use those questions to create your articles, if that's where you're going to be going. And then the answers to those questions are going to be your posts. So you're taking one video, one channel, and then you repurpose it. And with the answers, you organically bring people back to you to purchase your course or your offer, or Levi, whatever is going to be amazingly created that I can't wait to see. I hope this makes sense for our channelers out there.
I would be really curious when you're talking about how you found that flow. That flow initially seems daunting, but also seems efficient, which I like the idea of efficiency. How would I be able to see that in action in terms of like your YouTube page? Would I start there and then look at how that flows to your other social media to see how that is?
You could. So my social media is behind because I got so much out of
Mhm.
talking for 13 minutes that it made a 1,500 word blog post, but then that's a lot of content to push to social media. So the social will always be behind those things.
Sure.
But yeah, you could go to YouTube right now and see the video on, I think the one I did recently was support, how to determine how much support your course needs. And then there's a blog, I think the last post on my blog was answering that same question. And you'll notice a lot of it is the same. All I did was I had to do some reorganization because I meandered a little bit, but I pulled out the timestamps. I didn't realize how many times I say so when I'm just talking, so I had to pull out all the so's and restructure some things, but otherwise it's gonna sound pretty similar. And one of the reasons why I really like that approach is I come out of higher ed, and so I needed to like shake the academic out of my written voice. And this has been a really helpful way to do that because the blog sounds more like me when I'm talking than, all of the academic crap that I had to put out for all those years. And so I think that's why it worked really well for me.
So that 13 minutes that you spoke somehow got recorded so that you're not necessarily having to go back and type all of that.
So I caption all of my videos myself because
Okay.
YouTube auto captioning is notoriously bad. I think it's getting better with AI. But it's still not catching everything, right? And there's still words that are incorrect. And so I go through and I do take the time to fix my captions. But that takes me 10 minutes. You can do it. So because I still teach part-time at university, I do have an educator license for Adobe, and so that's the one I pick. But you can also do it in, they rebranded. I think they're called Screen Pal now. It used to be called Screencast-O-Matic, but I think they're Screen Pal is the new name. So it's really cheap to pay for the ability you just need to do speech to text, right? And then go through and listen and update as you go. And then that becomes the blog or the basis for the blog. Yeah, Dominique, I think Opus.io started charging even just to export.
Oh, really? That sucks.
Yeah.
So Opus.io is you put your long video and then it breaks it into 59 seconds. Now you can choose also to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you can also use Otter to do your
Yes.
speech to text. And then you put your text into AI and then listen the most important part. You ask AI to make sense of your text, rearrange without losing the tone. And then you go back and you fix it so it sounds human. Right?
Yep.
Make sure that if you put your text into AI, you say to AI to not lose the tone. Keep my tone of voice is super, super important because it's gonna write it like a copywriter, which is my problem because I learned how to do copywriting, so I sound like AI. And I have to like retrain myself to sound human.
Yeah.
Because this is the key right now, to be authentic and to sound human, right?
Yeah, exactly. I dropped a link to a program called Content Groove. And so that does similar to Opus AI where you can break it down, but it uses the transcript. And so you can adjust what the clip looks like based on where the words start and end. And that one, I've been using the free version. I use the free version of lots of different things. to the fullest extent that I can. And so I've been like in content group for making it easy, and I can export. I think I just recently exported 11 different ones for someone, or 11 different clips out of a video for somebody. So um, you get a lot for the free version. Uh,
Yeah, no worries, Suzanne. I will share all the links in the replay for you guys. Awesome. Well, that's beautiful. 53 minutes. I love it. I cannot keep any of my workshops under an hour. You are the queen. Does anybody else have any questions again on the course creation, or how, Catrina, what's like the next step to that one now that we've made the ideation and so forth? Then what would be the next step, and how can we go and work with you? What are you going to help us with?
So I will say, if you want support getting through the things that we did today, the workshop is the next step. If you have gotten yourself to the point where you can go ask folks, that is your next step. Go start talking to people about your focus and your goals. If you need support with, if you want support with the, okay, well, I've got feedback, what the heck do I do with it and what do I do now? Then I have a course starting, or a program starting in June. It's 5 weeks, and we get you from, I've got some feedback, to having an entire course map. And what a course map is every single thing you're going to do. And then you can make the decision about how much of that you want to pre-build and how much of that you want to build as you fly, right? Because different people have different, for some folks, if I say build it as you fly it, like their eye starts to twitch and they have like a panic attack, totally fine. Some people are the opposite. Like they like to be more reactive to what's happening. And so you can get to the point where you could do either one. And then if you need help with the content, I've got, all kinds of content courses, and I talk about content development a lot. I've been teaching content development really at the university for 16 years. And so that's one of my favorite things to do. I just don't do it there anymore.
What if I have all my ideas together? I know what I want to teach. I know that it's going to work because I've been like running this forever, but now I want to put it evergreen. Can I contact you and you can do it for me?
So I won't build your videos, but I will coach you through it. So more on a consulting basis. And I stopped doing that building for folks because I can't build anything if you don't give me, I'm not the subject matter expert on whatever it is you're teaching. And so you need to be a little bit more accountable than a lot of people want it to be. And so for me, uh, it's a filter, really, that I can help you with all of these pieces. And I can help with the technology, and I can give technology suggestions. And if you want to throw your computer against the wall because the editing's driving you bonkers, yeah, I can help with all those things. But the content has to already be there in order for me to do that. And then I can help support, how you're going to develop the activities and how they move from one thing to another in a course arc that gets them where they need to go, all that kind of stuff. But I don't make videos anymore.
No, that's fine. I just want people to know that if they show up and they already have everything, then you can help them structure it so that the experience is awesome for the learner and for you. Because building a course can be overwhelming sometimes because we want everything, over expanding, over delivering, underserving, right?
Yep.
So we deliver just the right thing and then we move them to the next step.
And I will end with, if you are at that point where you are ready to build and you're planning on doing video, it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be perfectly imperfect. And that, in fact, is what's going to make folks more attached to you as a human, instead of a person that has like a 16-person team developing their videos. And that actually helps student success. The learners are more successful when they feel connected and like the person on the other side of the screen is a real human. So they don't have to be perfect.
I love that. Not perfect, authentic.
Oh, did you have a question, Shannon?
So I've been just recording myself in Zoom for the video.
Perfect. Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. You can do that. And if you want to make it not look like Zoom, you can take your name out before you press record, and it will remove that little box with your name on it.
Okay. Thank you.
You could even just record it on your phone.
I've done that too.
Do you guys know Amy Porterfield? Anybody here knows her? She is in the course. Well, she was in the course developing world. Now she's into, I don't know what she's into, but anyways, she has multi-million-dollar business, and she did all her first, I think, 5 years on her phone, when the phones did not have the cameras that we have right now. So whatever works, just make it happen, because we need more of you guys out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We need more people that give a shit to be making things and teaching people. Because there's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, seriously. Beautiful. Well, any other questions for Catrina? So
Thank you.
everybody's good.
Okay.
Thank you
That
so
was
much. I'm
really
gonna.
interesting.
Oh,
Thank
Suzanne.
you. Thank you.
Of course. Of course.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I will send you the replay, all the links, and the freebies as well for you to get into Catrina's world. If you have any questions, you can go on my friend list on Facebook, friend Catrina, and ask away.
Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.